Hello people, I am 30 and welcome to my channel, and welcome to Great Houses of Calderia. Not Calradia, that is Mountain Blade Bannerlord. Calderia, which I think means volcano. I saw the publisher write a comment about it on a video on YouTube, which apparently means volcano because there's a big volcano in the middle of the game map. So if you don't know what this is basically a real-time strategy game, a bit like Crusader Kings or any other Paradox interactive game, which if you have followed my channel from before, you know that I am very much a fan of playing these real-time strategy games, like for example Crusader Kings 3 and 2. I very much love Crusader Kings 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time probably. And I got a mail from the publisher of this game. I think they're called Fire Squid. The developer is actually an indie studio called Resistance Games, something like that. And I got this basically pre-early access, founders beta, because this game is actually going to be released for early access in about 1 week from when you see this video, on the 30th of August 2023. So because of that, I thought about making a few videos. I'm gonna try and make a few videos this next coming week just to showcase this game to you, so you can make basically a good decision whether or not you're gonna jump on the early access train or not, because of course early access is always gonna be a bit of hit or miss. You never know how much developed the game is gonna be and how long it's gonna take for it to become a full game, but hopefully I'm gonna help you with this video to make a good decision, because this seems to be a really interesting game, and I think with the right amount of time and the right amount of effort, this can be a really good game. And I'm gonna just show you why. We're gonna go right into this. Great Houses of Calderia, new game. War of Humiliation can earn you a claim to a higher title. That sounds interesting. The story so far. I actually got an achievement. A fresh new start a new game. Calderia was once known as a paradise. However, the rulers of old grew hungry for power and knowledge, and devastation followed. The exact reasons for the downfall are long forgotten, and for centuries Calderia was taboo and never to be visited again. That sounds a bit dire. When the new emperor learned of the land, he disregarded the warnings of his council and granted a mandate for any noble house to claim parts of the land in his name. He appointed a viceroy to rule Calderia on his behalf. However, just 2 generations after the recolonization, bickering has arisen. Rumors are spreading that the viceroy himself has succumbed to the same old megalomania that afflicted the rulers of old. I think it has to do with just being so far detached from like the main empire. It just gives you this sense of freedom, basically making him feel like he's the emperor of this land or something like that. I would guess that at least. House origins. Our house embarked on the journey back as well. We are called the House Hoyo, Troke, Kubero, Canlas. That seems almost like a bayonet. Nardi. Are we gonna be the House of Nardi? Absolutely, that sounds awesome. Okay. Tradition. As the etiquette of feudalism dictates, each house has different ideals to follow and traditions to value. Every family stands for something. From the beginning, we made sure that we were known as... I know for a fact that this game is focusing a lot on the relations between basically families and people, and a lot of the court intrigue and stuff like that, and diplomacy. So I'm actually gonna think... yeah, having a high intrigue is actually not a particularly bad thing when it comes to just trying to make sure... it's a bit like Crusader Kings. Having high intrigue means you can scheme a lot and basically make people do whatever you want them to do. And I feel like that's a good strategy for basically any game like this. Choose head of family. Choose head of family. I feel like there's something wrong with that sentence, but it might just be me. It was our parents that led our expedition to recolonize Calderia. Decades later, their time was up, but they left behind a prosperous fiefdom, large family, and the beginnings of a legacy. Sounds awesome. It came time to choose who among their children would become the new head of family. Head of family is the leader of your house. They have the final say on family matters. That sounds kind of interesting. So we can see the stats. We have Lucia, or Lucia. We have Oim. How do you pronounce that? Aime, Giacinta, and Romina. So we can see that Romina is unmarried. Giacinta is married to Isan, as is this guy, which I cannot actually pronounce his name. He's married to Sibylla. And we have Lucia, who is not married. So if you look at the stats, we can immediately see that Aim and Romina are a bit more well balanced. Or even Lucia is actually quite well balanced as well. I like that 18 diplomacy. That's really good. As well as 12 economy, 12 intrigue, and 13 military. If I just learn how to pronounce Aim, he's also ambitious, cruel, and altruistic. Gains refill ability. Okay, interesting. Social conflicts. This is actually a bit like Crusader Kings with how the toolboxes work, and I really do appreciate that. Social conflicts are big or small negotiations that take place between families. Your family members and companions you have unlocked will join in tactical debates that will provide effects to the rest of the game. Unlike military conflicts, social conflicts can have more than 2 participants and aren't always zero-sum game. Interesting, he's also brave. I think I'm gonna play as Aim, and hopefully that's gonna work out just fine. He's also male, and when it comes to medieval ages, this is still a medieval age, even though it's a fantasy world. It's easier when it comes to basically having a male, I think with marriage and stuff like that, keeping your dynasty. I might be wrong actually, but I think generally that's how it worked in those days. Coat of arms. What are we going to go for? There's a lot of things to choose between actually. I think that's a rhinoceros. I actually like this one, but I would like this thing to be icon color to be a bit more like this, and secondary color to be a bit more like that. A bit more Roman in looking, and I do appreciate my Roman things. Continue. House origins. When our house embarked on the journey to Calderia, we were among the first to arrive near the Empress lands in the east. Flatlands. High population, props bonus. We were early to arrive, landed in the south near Erementa, home of the Matte Magicians. Matte Magicians. They do magic work with mats. That sounds about right. Hillside, crafters unlocked. What does that even mean? That is a good question. Arrived later than many and settled in the mountains of the north. Mountain Ridge. Range, materials and ore bonus. That's actually kind of good, I think. Arrived when most of the land was inhabited and thus settled a bit further away in the west. Varied effects. Okay. What are we gonna want to go for? That's a good question. Just taking a bit of drink there. I am thinking mountain range sounds a bit good. I am Swedish and we do live in the mountains somewhat. So I feel a bit more like home up in the mountains. I feel like I'm going to have to actually regret this thing, but who knows. Okay. So if we choose this thing, we can see the buffs here. Okay. Bad with crops, bad with livestock, really good with metal ore. 14 buildings, 9 workers. Only 6 workers, that's really harsh. Gold. Interesting. Really interesting. Okay. Can I move around on the map, please? How do I choose? There we go. There's a bit more buildings here. I actually like that. If you compare this one, when it comes to these things, we also have grapes. Interesting. Here we have gold, materials, a lot of metal ore. Probably means we can trade that ore to get other things. Gerodrid. This fiefdom holds the moniker the Cradle in Calderia. The province proves challenging for cultivating both animals and plants, yet otherwise presents itself as a paradise amidst isolation. The Alberon Mountains possess a wealth of premium quality iron, along with other precious metals and gemstones. With its rich resources, the fiefdom has potential to become one of the most prosperous provinces in Calderia. I like that. And I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce that name. Gerodrid. Would you like to have a tutorial? Yes, please, because this is about learning, both for me and for you. The members of your halves can be found and accessed here. I'm Sibylla, Isan, Romina, Lucia, Jacinta, and Krita. Oh, interesting. Continue. This fiefdom is your home. Baron Nardi of Gerodrid. You are a vassal of House Florel. She is a countess. You pay taxes to them. Counts may have several barons as vassals. The Duke of Toledo governs over the duchy you belong in. So I'm a baron, then there's a countess, and then there's a duchess. Okay. There are 4 duchies in Calderia. Duchies are indicated by the different background colors on fiefdom banners. Dukes may have several counts as their vassals. Monstemo dei Calderi is the capital of Calderia. I think this is actually around where the volcano is. Viceroy Monsbara rules over Calderia on the Emperor's behalf. All dukes are vassals of the Viceroy. That sounds about right. Return to your own fiefdom by clicking the home button, of course. Action on the map are done through fiefdom action menus. Clicking on fiefdom opens their action categories and view. Population of a fiefdom is shown here, so this is the current population, this is the maximum, and this is how far we are into getting an extra population. So we're very close to being at the maximum of 10. About halfway of the way to getting a 10th worker, which I think would be a good thing, hopefully. Having extra workers to basically work in all of these things. Your population amount translates to workers, which are these things here. It's wise to make sure you have enough crops to feed your people. Each worker consumes 1 grain crop per day as food. Okay. Each worker assigned to a profession increases productivity. Total production per day is shown here. We're going minus. Okay. These panels show what is required to produce the resource as well as where the resource is currently consumed. We are paying for workers to eat them, basically. Drag and drop workers from other professions to farmers until your production of crops is positive. Okay. I feel like there's a problem here with us not having that many workers as I would like to have. There we are in the plus side now. I think these are the masons. We're basically going behind on every other thing except this thing and farmers. Your population grows according to the happiness of your workers. And happy workers means extra workers or increased population. You may assign your family members to overseer professions. The competence of your overseer may boost or hinder the profession. Production and happiness are the most important factors at the beginning. Those are measured by the diplomacy and military skills of the overseers. I think the happiness is basically diplomacy goes for happiness and military goes for production, I would guess. So having someone with high military and high diplomacy would basically be the best overseer that you could possibly have. And it seems like my guy is decent enough. And these are my amounts of resources. We have crops, we have grapes, we have materials, we have livestock. I think that's like a leather pelt or something like that. We have metal ore. I would think we will make more considering how much metal ore that we have here. We have horses, right? Liquor. Yeah, wine. Steel. Luxuries. Parchment and gold. Interesting. Click the back button or right mouse button to return to the map when you are ready. There we go. And this is where we can see my objectives. Okay. Good diplomatic relations are important. Send an official visit to your overlord's fiefdom to improve your relations. Diplomacy. Official visit. All delegations have to be done by someone in your family. Choose a leader for your delegation. High diplomacy skill is often helpful. I think my guy is actually really good on diplomacy. Or I'm Nardi is 18. That seems high. In Crusader Kings terms, that is high enough. You may choose who you are going to visit by selecting a member from the other family on the right side. This thing indicates personal relations. and this thing indicate house relations. Choose people who like each other. And as we can see, we like them. They don't particularly like us. They don't like me, and they don't like the house. No, wait. Family relations. Should it be the other way around? Personal relations. But there it says house relations. And family, I feel... I'm just gonna go on. Send an official visit delegation to other fiefdom. He's gonna stop doing this other activity, overseeing the farmers. That is fine. Time controls, that seems simple enough. And it feels like they let me loose now. There is a lot of things happening here. So, we need to construct one building. That's what we need to do. The question is, how do we construct a building? I'm actually not particularly sure how to do that. We have a lot of people without tasks. We have 2 family members who are not currently married as well. But if we first and foremost go into here, view. How do we build stuff? Well, obviously under the build thing. These things are already built, like the Boog. An upgrade with this icon can be built immediately. This icon indicates that you don't have enough resources to build the upgrade. Note, when an upgrade is started, all the workers in the profession will focus on completing it and they will not produce any resources during the construction. There's a lot of information right now. And some other things you have to basically unlock certain buildings by building other buildings beforehand, just like in Crusader Kings or basically any real-time strategy game you have ever played in your life. That's basically is the way things work. Profession upgrades have various effects: increase city size, increase worker slots, unlock units, companions, new professions, better wage tier, new work effort tier, and improve fiefdom safety. Okay, what can we build? That is the question. This is basically the keep. Then we have the farmers, masons. We have a lot of things built here. Herdsmen, miners. You can also order your workers to work harder. It boosts production but makes them unhappy, and you can give them better wages to basically disregard that fact. Okay, interesting. Smith. Oh, we can actually build something here. Amalgamation machinery. A set of machinery meant to separate one material from others. It includes several different machines. It takes these things to build. It takes 100 days to build. Production consumption slots, which... what do they actually consume? I guess they consume iron ore. So we would probably have a less of a deficit in iron ore if this was cheaper to make. I see. Scholars. Vellum. Tannery. Oh, they make basically parchment. I see. So we want to build something, but I feel like the thing I need to focus on right now is I'm running a deficit in basically everything. What is that meant to mean? Oh, basically they have no one employed in making food or parchment. So if you look at these people, she is really bad at diplomacy, but she's good at military and incredibly good at economy. Man, look at that intrigue. That's awesome. Romina. She's decent. Lucia is also decent. Giacinta is not particularly good. And then we have the child as well, right? But she cannot obviously work. Pardon me. I should take a sip of water here. There's a lot of things to basically look at. If you play certain kinds of games, you never get used to doing all of this work. Like, I'm looking at all of these stats and I'm gonna have to choose the best one to do things. Obviously she's gonna be good at farming, and if I do that, I could potentially take one of these people and put them in here, and we're still gonna make food. But we're also making livestock now. That's awesome. But we're still running behind when it comes to metal ore and parchment and grapes. where are we producing the grapes? I feel like we are not actually producing any grapes, and we probably need to trade for grapes. That's probably something that we could trade, for example, the iron ore or the steel for. We're making a lot of steel, and I feel like a lot of people, for example, in the farmlands, is not gonna make steel. So if we basically trade crops or grapes, basically, for steel, I feel like that would be a good enough deal for us. Right? That's making us more money. But I want to make actually more about the important stuff. He's not particularly good. Izan is not particularly good, and Sibylla is not particularly good either. That's actually going to make people unhappy. Probably sure she's so bad when it comes to the diplomacy side of matters. She's going to increase the production, but she's going to make them unhappy about it. And apparently Romina is ugly. That is not particularly nice, I feel like to say, but okay. Interesting. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna go out from here. Oh, it actually tells you down here if you can build something. New upgrade available in the smiths. This thing. Are we going to build this? It's gonna take 100 days and it's gonna make us get on with the game. It's gonna take every bit of money that we own. But sure, go for it. I feel happy enough to do it. It's gonna take 100 days, which is a lot of time, but not particularly long when it comes to the entire lifetime of an entire dynasty, which is obviously much longer. So we need to construct the building. We have 3 people without tasks. Is any one of them able to marry? No. And I would like these people to keep on working, but I guess I need to marry them as well. Just to try and find out how these things work. Lucia is the good one. Romina, where is she? Romina? There she is. She's the real... No, she's not particularly good either. She's actually worse than Lucia. But she's making food, and food is important. More important than iron ore. Oh, we're actually going for a profit now. That's awesome. We're going for profits at everything. This is like playing Victoria 3. I'm making profits everywhere. I love it. Okay, Lucia, you're gonna get married. Suggest that 2 unmarried members of the 2 houses entertain the idea of future marriage. Okay. First, you need to find a suitable partner to one another. Then, after a 45-day courtship, that is not a particularly long time, the 2 will decide whether or not they agree to marry each other. 45 days to decide if you want to marry someone. Well, I think it's the medieval ages. Marriage between 2 families means an alliance between these 2 houses. Okay, so Lucia, she's 35, and Loncio Galan. His hair looks pink. Can you see it? Is it only me, but that hair looks pink. He doesn't particularly like Lucia either, and she doesn't like him. But our families like each other, so I guess that could work out. We're gonna try out. Hopefully it works out for us. It's testing. We're gonna let the time run now for a while. Even though she left, we're still making iron ore. That's awesome. I feel like, but I have metal ores. What is the problem? We have metal ores. Okay. Official visit. Most interactions between other families are presented with events. The event happens to the person on the left. I'm Nordi. Okay. Skills of the characters have often the greatest impact on the possible outcomes. A scale of 10 to 12 is average, 18 plus is superb, so he is really good at diplomacy. And he's bang slat average on everything else. But she is actually even better when it comes to diplomacy. And she's attractive. Hello, an attractive 52-year-old. Traits may also affect the events depending on the context. Okay. Personal relations and house relations can often hinder, help, or cause. We saw this thing before. This is basically house. No, wait. I feel like this must be wrong. This is his attitude towards her. That's not house relations, that's personal relations. And this isn't... Wait, what? House relations and family relations. You're not using the same words. I feel like that's something that needs to be acknowledged in the development. I'm getting confused here. I guess at least this is the house relations, because they're saying so here, and this is the personal relations, not the house ones. It's just a bit of a mix-up when it comes to the words. Or maybe they're meant to change this thing, I don't know. But it's confusing me at least. Okay, you may choose what your family members try to achieve, but their characteristics determine how well they succeed. Okay? The skills of the event characters are often compared to each other. Speak openly, affecting their intrigue and my diplomacy. I feel like I'm much better at diplomacy than she is at intrigue. Be vague, and that's not as good. Come up with stories and health truth. My military and my diplomacy. That's decent, okay? During dinner at Kamanka, Shakina Florell asked Aim to speak honestly about House Florell. How... Good gracious. How House Florell is viewed in Gurdred. The request is polite, but obviously she's trying to assess the trustworthiness of House Nardi. How should Aim answer the request without causing a diplomatic conflict? Speak openly. We speak honestly while leaving out any details which could cause damage to House Nardi. She is satisfied with this account. They gain opinion of family and... Yeah, okay, so they're like, is it 15, 20 more now? Yeah. Huh. It actually goes... It goes opinion of family, but this actually applies to both sides. Opinion of family. Opinion of family. It doesn't tell you here though. Or maybe I'm just stupid. I think I'm stupid. Right. Tax level very low. That seems nice for us. If it's our taxes towards her, that seems very nice. That seems a bit low. We're only paying 0.1 ducats per day when we're making a lot more than that. That sounds awesome. Okay. This is the end of the tutorial. Feel free to browse your current and future objectives to get an idea of what you could try to achieve next. More game mechanics will be explained to you as you try them for the first time. When you are done, click on the right mouse button or the back button. That seems simple enough. So this is the road to victory. We are start, initial growth, construct a building and make a trade, court someone, we're already doing this thing, propose marriage, arrange a wedding. And if we go the entirety here, reaching to the top, become viceroy. So there's basically two ways to win this game. Have the Fist of the Empire honorary title, win the Civil War, we can either become the viceroy and stay on the side of the emperor, or we could basically wage war against the emperor and become king or emperor, however we want to tell it ourselves. That is actually interesting. How do you get these honorary titles? That sounds interesting. We are still trying to make a building though. Is he good at anything? He's good at diplomacy, he's not particularly good at production. But if he tried to make something, he's actually so bad, he would decrease productivity. Oh, that sounds about right. Okay. Awesome. And she's really good, but she's not making them particularly happy. Well, that's not particularly good, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. And how far are we away from building this thing? 90 days. Okay. If we start the game again, is this gonna resolve itself? No. Where is the bloomery? Because we have a lot of metal ore. I feel like this is kind of a bug. What is a bloomery? Where is that bloomery? I cannot see the bloomery. Is it the building? Keep. Crop fields. No. No. I do not. Here is the bloomery. Wait, what? How much do they need? Yeah, we don't need any ore because we're building something. I think this is basically a bug because I'm building something right now, and the game doesn't realize that. It tells me I'm out of resources, even though I'm not, so they cannot actually continue production in Bloomery. That's a bit too bad actually, because it's cluttering up my event log. So hopefully that's gonna go away for in not too long of a time, actually. But what I feel is he married? He's married to Sibylla. Do we have any kids? Is that my kid? I'm gonna check this. Is that my kid? Krita is my daughter. Age 0. Age 53. Year 1312. Okay. I don't think there was IVF back in the medieval ages. But I guess I might be wrong. Okay. I'm not gonna question. I know, for example, like in the Bible, Abraham's wife had a kid at a very high age, but that, of course, is a religious story, and this is not a religious story. So I'm not gonna try and figure out how this worked out, how Krita got conceived. Okay, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going with the game. Okay. That's awesome. And we are still out of the resources that we need to continue with that thing. Is there anything that we can do? Seeing as my guy is actually here right now, we put him to some work. Obviously, he's much better than anyone else is at what they're doing. If I put him at farming instead, this is not gonna make a lot of a difference, but if we put him in farming instead of her, people are gonna be happy and we're gonna make more food. And who was that? Romina. Can we increase this thing somehow? XP. How do you get XP? That would be very nice to know, actually. And these people are actually not gonna be particularly unhappy about it, so I think that's actually okay. We're gonna put her at doing this herding thing, and hopefully that's gonna work out just fine. And if we make enough food, maybe we can take another worker away from food production and put him into basically something else. I would like to have a lot of tools to be able to build things, because I think when we look at how to build things, we need a lot of materials. We do need a lot of crops too, but we do need a huge amount of materials. And ore and steel and gold. Interesting. I can see why having a lot of crops that naturally would be a good thing, because that means you can put basically people are doing other things. Middle-aged, just like my wife. Happy birthday, Lucia is now middle-aged. We need to get her married so she can also have a baby at age 52. There will be destinations that are happy and some which are sad, but each of these will build up a better future than the past. Happy birthday, Lucia Nardi. She's humble, impatient, and fickle. Interesting. And she's also a renowned hunter. Cool. Okay, so how far away are we from building this thing? Quite far. But if you look at basically winning conditions, we need to make a trade with someone and send a court member. That's basically the next thing that we're gonna do. So if I go ahead and already... What is it that I need? I need a ton of materials. I need I need grapes. I'm running out of grapes. We're paying grapes in consumption to people. Who are basically eating grapes? Who are the luxurious people eating grapes? Where are they? Where are the grapes? Feed workers, feed wages. Why are you eating grapes? What are we paying these smiths? Are they eating grapes? No one else is eating grapes but the smiths. These people are not eating grapes. These people are not eating grapes, but the smiths, of course they are. Because they have to. There's no other way to go about it. These people need to eat grapes. Awesome. I love it. So, the thing is, what can you do with parchment? What is parchment good for? I would really like to know. City size. I guess this has something to do with the social conflict stuff that we're gonna see a bit more about later on. But I would really like to know what parchment is good for actually. Having a library generally would give you like better research and stuff like that. But I don't know. Actually, we're gonna get Romina married, I think. Ryan Palante. Just gonna try out and get everyone that we can married. I don't want them to stay at home. I need them to get married, make some kids before they're unable to. Well, I guess that's not something we need to be worried about. Lucia Nardi has arrived at some place to court Luncio Galan. I feel like this should be a place in here. I can even see the space in between here. So far, Luncio... Where did I get Luncino from? Luncio Galan hasn't shown any interest in Lucia, and there are concerns within the delegation that chances of marriage are slim. He is an egoist. I'm right. Well, that's interesting. Find out about his interest. My intrigue and my diplomacy. I think that's decent enough. My diplomacy or house relations. And I think that's not something that I'm gonna bet this thing on. Find out about his interest. Oh, it worked out. Lucia's chaperone reported that she and the guy are now talking intensely, and he has been smiling and laughing. It seems that like there is no doubt of their willingness to marry each other. They both gained the trait cheerful. Life is good and you feel it. That is just the way things should be. Life is good. That's actually my life right now. It's much better than it used to be. Which is the reason I'm finally recording again after a short hiatus of 2 years. At YouTube. A short one. A really short one, I promise. Lucia was told about the traveling theater troupe playing at location. I think that's something that we're gonna get later down the line. She decides to use the performance as an excuse to spend time with Luncio. The troupe, Commedia dei Calderia, recently ridicules the nobility while also poking fun at commoners and burghers. He watches intensely, and Lucia has a hard time interpreting what he might be thinking. General tradition points. Start tradition. Oh, interesting. Comparing military. He's awesome at military. That's not gonna work out for us. Highlighted traits. Can I see any highlighted traits? No. Praise their ingenuity. I guess I have better diplomacy than he does. Or comparing intrigue. That's not gonna work out either. Praise their ingenuity. Please work out. Lucia notes how the actors portrayed the interaction between classes and how over the top their actions were. He says the noble were presented like someone he knows. They start laughing and enjoys the rest of the performance. I guess it worked out just fine. Awesome. We are gonna have marriage very soon, I think. That's really good. Hopefully. You never know. Something might just break down at the last moment. You guess something like that could happen. Do I dare to go at double speed? No, I do not, because I have an event. Temptation. Ethan has noticed a courtier smiling at him often. She's very attractive and Ethan is flattered by her attention. Now the courtier asks Ethan to join her for a glass of wine in her chamber. Maybe it's not just the wife, the wine. Ethan, he is married to who? Can I let this lock? Okay. He could potentially sleep with someone else. It would be wrong towards my wife. Yes, it would. He's really good at intrigue, though. Affecting the outcome, your relation to them. Well, I'm sure my wife won't mind. The wine tastes sweet, and the courtier sits very close to Ethan. He fights the urge to touch her and simply says thank you for the wine politely and leaves the room. He gains 1 diplomacy. Well, that was a bit boring. I guess he gained diplomacy, but that was a bit boring. By the way, Ethan, can I use you for something? Wait, can I see here? Can I see his stats? View. Ethan. He's decent at diplomacy, but he sucks at military. It's gonna be a terrible thing here. Right. But he's decent at diplomacy, of course. Which means that I could potentially use him to try and find a trade deal with someone. Who do we think have grapes? And is there a way to check if anyone has grapes? She doesn't like us. Potentially if I go for someone who actually likes me, that would be a potentially good thing. Baron Notario of Cincino. If I look at trade, what does they have? We have a tutorial, that's what we have. Trading is important part of life in Caldera. Trading is an important part of life in Caldera. I'm helping out the developers here. No, I'm not. It is not exactly a mercantile society anymore here in Caldera. It is better to create surplus production and trade it away for resources you don't produce yourself. With trade, there's multiple things that impacts the trade. Valuation of the resources being bought by each party, need for resources being traded, relations between the parties and the personality of the trading partners. You need to select which of your family member will go on to the trade delegation by drag and dropping him or her from the left. So if we go for Ethan, do we have anyone else better at diplomacy? No, we do not. Especially not Sibylla. So basically, can I do it? Apparently not. Here on the left you can see the resources that you have to offer for trade. As you click them to be sold, you can select the amount to be sold. The same logic naturally applies to the other family. There are a few important things to note. 1. Valuation of goods is dependent on the buyer's need for it, therefore it varies from situation to situation. Caravan size dictates how long the trade will last and how much of your daily production is reserved for the trade. Willingness shows how eager the other family is to agree to trade. High willingness indicates that you might improve your relations with the proposal. Low willingness indicates the chance of the other family rejecting the trade or agreeing upon, then hurting your relations with them. Oh, it never stops. 3 more things about the trade. 1. If the opponent agrees to the trade or not, that is decided when the trade delegation arrives. This in turn depends on the negotiators. You could select a well-liked family member to go on to trade to increase your chances. Tough negotiations that sometimes take place, they are resolved in social conflicts. Okay? They represent the negotiations and will let you handle which things you value more than the other elements. When successful, your family members will then be handling this trade route. This means you can't use that character for other tasks until the trade route is completed. Trade routes can also be attacked by spies of other families. I feel like spies should not be attacking things. If we look here, this is what they produce. They do not produce metal or ore. That's a good thing for us. They do not produce a lot of things. I feel like they're actually there. I'm blind. I can't see that they're producing grapes. So I want grapes. I want to give them metal ore. And metal ore is actually worth more than the grapes. That's actually really good. I would like to get more than I'm losing, if possible. I'm gonna get these. Probably should put in someone to do this thing as well. Isan. They have no use for metal ore. Okay, but I need grapes. How much can we get before this thing starts to get... Here we go. We're actually gonna get a surplus. And we're just losing a tiny bit of what we have. Oh, sure, send. 5 trips, 210 days. If I try to increase this duration... Okay, I see. So that's also a way to basically increase this amount. Okay. Send. So I think that is us. Oh, oops. Making a trade. Send a court member. I think that's actually when you look at something and you go to diplomacy and court member. Sending your family to stay semi-permanently at another court will provide a relations bonus to that family as well as gives you 2 levels of intrigue to them. I feel like that's something I want to do with the countess. She is our countess. And that's something I want to do later down the line. I think the problem here is I just sent away my only good diplomat, except myself. That's not particularly smart. Whatever. Just keep on going. It's gonna work out just fine. I'm entirely sure it's gonna work out incredibly fine. No interest. Romina has arrived at Tumus. Oh, finally a location. To court Ryan Parlante. So far Ryan hasn't shown any interest. Okay. My intrigue is incredible. My diplomacy not so much. Charm him. Low. Find out about his interests. And it worked out. Awesome. I'm making a kind of a victory dance here in my chair. It's probably looking a bit stupid. Finish. They are actually infatuated with each other and they are cheerful. Yeah, being in love can make that to someone, even when they're basically in their 40-year-old crisis, both of them. Cool. So hopefully we're gonna see some marriages very soon. I'm gonna try and finish this building and hopefully this thing will go away whenever that is done. At least I hope so. What does that mean? Does it mean that she's there? Or whatever. I actually don't know. Initial growth. You have successfully completed the initial growth of your fiefdom and of your own power. This is the first step in your path to prominence. New objective unlocked. Excellent. We have already made that thing. We need to send a court member though. If I send someone to, for example, here, diplomacy, how long are they gonna stay there? Propose that a member of your family would be stationed in the other house court as advisor. This would improve your relations to the family as well as provide in-depth knowledge of what goes on in their fiefdom. Do I have anyone but any good when it comes to intrigue? Lucia is basically doing other stuff. She's really good at intrigue. She's awful at diplomacy, but all of them are awful at diplomacy. So I think Giacinta is actually the better person to go with. And she's already married. Hopefully this works out. Hope, hope, hope. Since when do we consume... it's because the steelworks are working again and we're actually trading away these things now. Well, that's a bit stupid. That's actually really stupid. You have successfully acquired the basic skills in the art of diplomacy. You are now on the better side of those who fool and those who are fooled. I feel like I should be the one that are fooling other people. I don't particularly like being fooled, you know. Excellent. Propose marriage, arrange a wedding. Unruly... Oh, that doesn't sound particularly good. Isan, Nardi, and Marcio Notorious negotiations are interrupted when Notorious workers and Isan's servants break into fighting. Why? They seem to fight over the fairness of the deal being made. It's very fair. What is the problem here? No. 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 Yes. Absolutely. Yes. He is impressed, and as a respectful gesture, he agrees to your original terms. Sounds awesome. I want to keep those terms. They're good ones. Even though I'm actually going minus now when it comes to metal ore, I need to up this production somehow. Probably by moving a work or something from something other. Deficit due to trade. Yes, I do know that already. Thank you. If we look at this, is there anyone I can actually put? For example, if I put myself in the mine, that wouldn't make anything happen. I need a lot. We would still, no, we would not still be making a surplus when it comes to this if we change this guy here. We would be making a surplus of iron ore, which is kind of what I want for as long as we still have this thing. I guess, no, stop. We could make them work harder. And that would decrease the deficit somewhat. I don't know. We could... Yeah, Lucia would make things a bit better as well. Yeah, she would. Ah, stop it. Stay there. Oh, whatever. Yeah, she's better than Sibylla, because she's better at diplomacy. They are not particularly happy, I guess, but I need to try and get this deficit down without creating a deficit when it comes to this thing. So I guess I don't have any options until basically when the trade deal falls through. It's gonna make these things basically work out again. Okay. Proposed marriage, arrange a wedding. And Sibylla still has nothing to do. Oh, she's courting someone, that's what she's doing. And he's doing the trade deal. Cool. Really cool. This game is really cool. This is fun. I don't know if you... I don't know how much feel you have gotten for the game so far. We haven't gotten that far into it so far. There's a lot of text to read and there's a lot of things to try and figure out, but so far my opinion of this game is actually kind of good. There's some slight, basically language things that I'm complaining about, but that's nothing. Changing the language of stuff is changing a text thing in the files. That's it takes a few seconds. It's not that difficult. But this game, like, when I'm looking at it, when I'm looking at the things that I can see here, this seems to be a really stable ground to keep on going on. And I haven't even gotten into warfare or anything like that so far. And hopefully we are going to get into those things as well when we get further into this playthrough. Because I'm gonna put out a few videos of these things before the game is released on early access, hopefully. That is my hope. That is basically my aim for this little early access playthrough. But hopefully you have enjoyed this. I'm very happy to be back on YouTube, doing YouTube after a very long hiatus. As I said before, it's been personal stuff going on, and it will probably need an entire video of itself just to go through and explain why I have been away for such a long time. But hopefully I'm gonna be able to stay around for a while now, and maybe get back into Crusader Kings again and other games, depending on what I feel like playing rather than anything else. But hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have watched it, make sure to like this video and as well to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure to click that bell button as well if you want to get notifications whenever I put up something. And hopefully you are interested in continuing to watch this game, because I'm finding this one actually incredibly fun. So see you soon, guys. Bye.